I'm so excited to be here. Excited to break down YouTube for you guys. Help you unlock a new channel of growth. I do want to say one thing first, though. I've been doing this a long time, speaking a long time. I've never had a speaker before me or after me who came up and said, listen, I'm wearing aviators today because I got bucked up a bowl. And I've heard not once, but twice. Give it up for Nate. Like, that is the coolest. So, mad props to that guy. Super impressive. I want to get an idea of who's in the room here so I can tailor this content for you guys. How many of you are actively running ads on YouTube right now? That is a little more than most rooms, but still like 15% or something like that. Man, I know this is the DTC Growth Summit. All this can apply at DTC for sure. How many of you guys are selling in retail stores, though, right now as well? That's less people-ish. Okay. So the cool thing is there's going to be a point in time in your growth when you need to unlock a new growth channel and probably new distribution channels, right? And the cool thing is YouTube may be the answer or part of the solution for both of those things. How many of you guys feel like it may be like woken up, needle of the cold sweat? I'm too reliant on Meta. Anybody? Like way too reliant on Meta? I will say, long live Meta. I'm a huge Meta fan. We run Meta ads. We run Meta ads for our agency. It's an amazing growth engine, but I never, ever want to be too dependent on one channel. And that's just where we find ourselves in the DC space. I'm going to unpack why, and I'm going to show you how to unlock growth on YouTube. Now, we've had room for work with some amazing brands. So all of them I'm going to share with you, the creators and stuff that come from some of these brands. All the lessons come from these brands. Native deodorant, part of a raindrop on that one. Arctic Cooler is going to break that down. Boo Cutie, Crumple Cookie. So taking these brands, scaling them on YouTube as we do. Much awards, got an amazing team. Consistently, for agencies our size, we're a top spender on YouTube. That's why we get invited to do the events like we're doing tomorrow at the Google offices, because a lot of people just don't understand YouTube and don't know how to make it work. We do, it's what we love, and so it's around the pack today and tomorrow. Now, I have never rid the bull. I've never been thrown off a bull, but I may be the only speaker you've heard who has 8 kids. So this is my family. 8 kids, thank you, guys. It was chaotic and dangerous in its own way. I do think I get head injuries frequently, just not the concussive type, just more like what is going on in my life right now. But these are my kids. Not sure if you're counting, but that's 2 boys and 6 girls. And so it is chaos. Everybody's down line of their own, obviously, which is a good thing. I think this uniquely prepared me to buy media and to be in this space, because every channel has a light of its own. Every customer has a light of their own. It's pure chaos. And so I mostly share that because I don't think you'll forget me now. But also, I think it has prepared me for this gig, which is interesting. So as we look at YouTube, I think the reason most people aren't scaling on YouTube, aren't making it work at all, is because it's just so different, right? We found success on Meta. We found success on Google. Tried a few things with YouTube. Didn't really work. Gave up on it. Said it's for somebody else, right? But the issue here, we have to understand, before we break down kind of the 3 keys that I'm about to unlock here, is that YouTube is just different. The way it functions, the way it works, the way you gotta approach it, it's all different. And so let's understand that. There's really 4 key modes that a user is in when they're on YouTube. It could be searching, right? YouTube is still a search engine. And more searches are done on YouTube now than any other search engine not named Google. Streaming. It is a massive streaming platform which functions more like TV, but also scrolling TikTok. We got the TikTok competitor of YouTube Shorts. That's grown at 70 billion views per day. And then people also shop. People shop and research on YouTube as well. So different modes, different ways to approach YouTube. This is really interesting. How many of you guys watch YouTube on connected TVs? Anybody, you or someone in your household watches YouTube? Yeah. So YouTube has been the leading streaming app for a couple years. So it beats Netflix by a handy margin, and then you can add up Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus, Roku, Peacock. Add all of those up, YouTube's bigger than all of them. Too biased. I know my kids, a lot of my teens and my younger kids, when we give them TV time, they're usually watching YouTube. They're not watching one traditional streaming platforms. It's also the number one podcast network, right? So how many of you guys consume podcasts on YouTube? We like to watch our favorite podcasts on YouTube. That's a different mode of consumption than if I'm just scrolling and killing time on Meta. So it's a very different mindset. This is super interesting. We're gonna tomorrow to Google also, we got someone coming in, one of the YouTube product managers, and they're talking about YouTube affiliate. Anybody explore YouTube affiliate or about it? It's pretty new, yes sir. And so it's Google's answer, YouTube's answer to TikTok shops. So it's brand new. We're testing out with a couple of brands, doing well. But the interesting thing here is I think TikTok shop, like I've got friends that have used TikTok shops to 10x, 20x their business, literally, no, I'm not exaggerating. But then some brands, it doesn't work for, right? A TikTok influencer, the TikTok platform, it's not right for some brands. I think YouTube, if they get this right, general to do, YouTube influencers are right for so many brands. And what people have said, and this is independent research, 98% of users say, hey, I trust my favorite YouTube creator over any other creator or influencer that I pay attention to. So YouTube creators just have a lot of influence and pull on their audience. So because, well, that's what we got a hanging S here. This I'm gonna pretend like this was on purpose. This is Jacques' dream Lamborghini moment, which, by the way, reticular activator, the other way that works, your brain's always looking for things that are unusual and things that are familiar. So going back to the car example, you ever notice you're in the market for something? Bought my 4Runner a couple of years ago. With that, I didn't see 4Runners on the road. Then once I started shopping for 4Runners, I'm like, everyone's got a 4Runner. I see like 10 4Runners a day, right? That's your reticular activator system working for you. So anyway, because they're proposed with screens, the creatives have to be different on YouTube. But there's not just one creative formula on YouTube. You have to mix it up based on the screen and the mode for the person consuming it. Because different targeting, different bidding, different algorithm, totally different than Meta. We can't bring our Meta campaign mindset to YouTube. It just won't work. Doesn't translate on a one-to-one basis. And then because of the way shoppers interact with, the way shoppers like to buy, the way shoppers interact with the YouTube app, you've got to measure it differently. And this is the part where people get frustrated, throw in the towel, have misconceptions that they don't measure YouTube properly. So we're going to unpack that. And here's what I believe. It may not be the time in your growth trajectory for YouTube right now, but I promise you that over time, it will, right? You're going to reach a point of growth where you want to unlock YouTube. And I believe it could be the most powerful growth channel that you're not using right now. And so a couple of examples, I'll unpack creatives and some stuff here as we go. But Ibida Boom Beauty, Ezra Firestone, he's speaking, I think that's tomorrow, love that guy. But when we helped YouTube go from 0 to their number 2 new customer acquisition channel, we created about 30% overall sales lift with that. And then, of course, grew direct conversions on Google Ads, a couple of percent. Dr. Swatch, I love this one. Really, that's raindrop there. Those creatives are the one YouTube ad of the year in 2020. What was kind of cool, I didn't know this was happening until later, Jacques told me, but their media buyers were studying and learning my YouTube course. So Jacques' team was doing the creatives, their media team was going through my YouTube ads course, and that's what helped and unlock some scale. So in a roundabout way, you have to be a part of this story too, which is kind of fun. And then Native, we started working with Native when Moise Ali was sold, the founder sold Actually Ball, I think it did about 100 million a year. Moise tweeted towards the end of last year, Native did $1 billion last year on about 20% EBITDA margins. So he says probably P&G's greatest investment ever. So we were along the ride there. We did all their Google and YouTube, and we created some strategies for them on how to use YouTube to grow retail sales, because that was part of the playbook for P&G. Like, hey, let's acquire this brand, let's distribute in all retail, let's see how we grow this thing. It's worked quite well. So a lot of what we did here has influenced our strategies I'm going to share today. All right, so key number 1, let's talk about nailing your creative strategy. So we've got to get this right. I love that example that Jacques shared, the Tide commercial. That ad was fine, right? It was good-ish. It was fine, right? You could take that ad, and if you're Tide, you could brute force it, and it would do pretty well for you, right? You can't take a bad ad, though, and brute force it. You just can't. And probably nobody here wants to take a meh ad and try to brute force that either, right? If we get the right creative that's designed and made for YouTube, it makes everything easier. And so there's some good news and bad news here that I'm going to write down for you. Let's talk cringe strategies a little bit. The nice thing, and we've heard a few people talk about this earlier. I've got some friends like Andrew Ferris and Taylor Holiday at Pound Thread and some guys I talk to a lot. That, hey, for bigger meta ad campaigns, you made like 1,000 creatives running at a time or 3,000 ads running at a time. How about you guys have multiple hundreds of ads running at any given time on Meta? Yeah, it's pretty common. I think that's like just the way it goes, right? The cool thing about YouTube is, one, you don't need that many creatives, and two, when you're first to be started, it really can't handle that many creatives. They're just the way you test it. It doesn't learn as fast as Meta. So really, you only need 2 to 5 good concepts to launch with. And then as you're testing and iterating, it's probably about that many creatives each month. I just need 2 to 5 each month that I spin up and iterate on based on what we're learning. And so it's not as creative hungry as Meta, which is a really good thing. Generally speaking, we don't see scale with shorter ads. So your 15-second ads on Meta, not going to translate that well to YouTube. So you're going to need like 45 seconds to 2.5 minutes. Some of the ads we run for Raindrop are 3.5 minutes. We ran one for Arctic, which I'll show. I won't show the app, but I'm going to talk about Arctic in a little bit. It was a NASCAR app. It was 4.5 minutes. And it had one of the highest view rates of any ad that they ran. And so don't think about like typical time frames of ads. We do a lot of buying for, got some traditional agencies that kind of outsource all their YouTube buying to us. And in the traditional world, everybody thinks in like 30s and 60s, right? Well, if I run a 30-second ad on TV, it costs me double to run that as a 60. Not the way it works on YouTube, right? YouTube is CPM based. YouTube rewards you for a better watch time. So sometimes we can run a 2-minute ad and have the same CPMs of a 30-second ad. So think about that just a little bit. Then you start looking at average watch time per impression, things like that. Those longer ads can be gold, and they don't cost you in more to run, which is really awesome. So this is where we recommend play. I've never seen an ad under 30 that we've like scaled to the min. It's always been 30 or higher, where I recommend you start 45 seconds or higher. Think this is like the simplest way to explain it is with YouTube, think Meta plus TV, right? If like my Meta ads and a good TV ad, like laundry sauce good, not Tide good, if Meta ads and TV ads had a bait, that could fit, that could work on YouTube. That would be closer to a YouTube ad than either one of them on their own. So think production value. YouTube kind of has an appetite for production value because a lot of people do watch it now streaming. 50% of all YouTube views are on a streaming platform, so it feels more like TV because it's on TV. And so you can handle a higher production value, which is really nice. I do recommend the 9:16, so that's the portrait type mode for shorts and for mobile. You need that dimension, and then 16:9 for TV, a desktop. But still, actually, some people watch that dimension on their smartphone as well. So here is a simplified, and part of me hates to do this because I think the best creatives are often not formulaic, but the best creatives do have components that are similar, right? We have to have a hook. We have to interrupt our audience. We have to get that attention or nothing else matters. We measure this by view rate. I'm going to break down some creatives in just a minute. But often if an ad is going to fail, we can watch it and understand it's because the first 5 seconds is a snooze fest, right? Or it's totally irrelevant to the product or a number of other things. But you've got to get the hook right. That's super important. The next thing is really we need to see the product connection. We need to see a product demo. Now, that could be either we're actually using the product and we're seeing that demonstrated, or we're seeing someone's life as they're experiencing the product, Or it could just be something as simple as what we've seen with laundry sauce. Like, it's not that exciting to see someone doing the laundry, right? But you do see the power, you see elegance of the packaging, and you hear them talk about how, ethic good is and stuff like that, right? That's still a product demo of sorts. Social proof, you almost always need this. This can be brief. This can be in the form of product reviews. This could be actual customers. This could be your UGC. I prefer an ad that's got some polish, and then we throw UGC into that ad as well. That usually works quite well. And then I think this part can be very brief, but you need to find a way to overcome objections. There's always a reason someone's not going to click. There's a reason someone's not going to buy. What is that? Is it cost? Is it they're worried about pain? Is it they're worried about effective? Well, what are they worried about that is going to make them say, I better not. I better not click, right? I better not check it out because of this. Understand that, overcome that, and is address it a little bit. And then, of course, the CTA the offer. What's so interesting to me is even after doing this now, I was doing my TV before this in the early 2000s. Sometimes I'm like, let's test the CTA, right? And I was recently looking at this ad from Arctic, and the whole ad was based around go buy this at Walmart, right? It's available at Walmart. The tag is like family walking out of Walmart carrying their cooler. It's a great ad, right? And so on this YouTube ad, we can see conversion rates. So we can see how many people click, how many people bought from that ad. What do you think the conversion rate of that ad was? It was exactly 0%. And it's one of those things where you're like, but people are just going to buy what they want to buy. Yes, that's true. But the whole ad was built around go buy it at Walmart. You click on the ad, it's going to show you where to buy it at Walmart. So guess what people did? They bought it at Walmart. They did not buy it online. So it was just a reminder to be like, man, what we tell people to do, what we ask them to do, that's what they're going to do. And if you don't ask it, you don't say it, they're not going to do it. And so you got to have this year, can't overstate that enough. But here's what's cool about what you're doing now when you're scaling on Meta. You got some cool guys that are working. What we often do, especially when we're kind of helping knock out this MVP creative for a client, is, hey, let's take that top performing paid social ad. That could be your hook. That can be the intro to your YouTube ad. You're going to need more. You need more than that, but that could be your best hook for your YouTube ad, and that's where you'll start. I'm going to play a few of these.
This is the 65 chord ultra dot arctic cooler. And actually brings to the test in a quite cute and different way. And this thing is ultra I did a look and out of those are I am wholly running the lottie, whether it be in my work or in my hobby. And I put a high value on function, durability, and high quality. And that's why I resonate with Arctic here, because they are overbuilt, but not overpriced.
Right, I hit play on that premature. That's okay. We're keeping the pace lively. What did you like about that ad? So just as a spoiler, that ad crushed it for us. I'm going to show you kind of how we use this for retail support and the Meta breakdown our campaign approach. But that ad was one of our top winners. It was just unbelievable. What did you like about that ad? What worked about that ad? Yeah.
Immediately, I had to keep watching. Immediately.
Yeah.
Seats.
Yeah. Kind of open the loop, like what's she going to do next? What's going to happen next? You sort of have to watch it. And that's what we found too. The view rate on this ad was off the charts on every platform. And so, yeah, you have to watch it. What else did you like about it?
HGTV buy.
Yeah, feels like HGTV. How about you hear her and you're like, I'll buy whatever she's telling me to buy. Like, I totally trust her. Anybody, this is the kind of a younger looking audience, but anybody watch Bone Proven from back in the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that. That was Spouties, yeah. So she's kind of like a female version of 10 the Toolman Taylor, but more trustworthy. Like, you watch her and you're like, Dan, April Whitperson, like, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. And so this ad just has to crush. Pace is good. We see her just, beating the hell out of this thing, and it's working. It's holding up to the challenge, which is great. So I'm going to go this next ad now. I won't play all of this. This was another winner, and this kind of shows this is more of influencer style. I'll play just a little bit of this one as well.
If you're looking for a wheeled cooler, this is the Arctic 52 quart ultralight wheeled cooler. I haul out the damp out there with stairs, upstairs, grass, gravel, the sandy road, look those, don't have bit. And I gotta say, It is pretty art tough. There are some really nice touches and additional features for this Arctic ultralight wheel cooler, but you don't find on some of those other wheel coolers. The other thing I like about this is it's a reasonable price. Now, it's not a cheap cooler. It's also not the most expensive. This is a great cooler. And if you're looking for a new wheel cooler that tows really nicely, this is a great option.
So another ad that just crushed it for them. Again, this campaign was more for retail support. We'll break down the campaigns in a second. But the engagement was off the charts. Actually, that one did lead to online purchases, which was interesting. It led to online purchases and Amazon purchases. I know it's online, but also retail growth as well. Fast pace. This is something that a lot of people forget. YouTube, it could be long. It could be a long app, but it does need to be pretty fast paced. It is not. If you're ever watching it, previewing it, showing people to kind of, test drive or whatever, the point when someone starts to look at their phone or look around or yawn a little bit, like that's when you have pants and tights, right? You gotta look for these points when someone is likely to lose attention. Now, this is one of my favorite editing styles for if you've got a lot of creator content, a lot of influencer content, how can you pull that into a format that's gonna work across YouTube, including on t-shirts? Chase up native.
And feel so hydrated and steered. I just love the fact that it keeps your skin in one source all day. With a new info formula, I just love how rich your vegan formula is. It provided deep hydration with a lightweight feel. It's just super hydrating, but also lightly and sticks to your skin super fast. You're going to love it. Formula absorbs in the skin so easily without leaving a residue. And don't even get me started on how good this smells. It smells so yummy. And also I should go with the sun out there. You tell me if it quick.
So really a great ad because it takes content. All of these pieces worked well on social. These were all winners on the. Now running that individually on YouTube probably wouldn't work. It worked okay if it was just on YouTube Shorts, but we said is, hey, if we end it like this can work on mobile, it's gonna work on TV, it's gonna work everywhere across YouTube. And so you mash those up, you add some graphics, you add some fallouts, you string it together in a narrative, and that's when it just absolutely crushed for that. Then you could also do a vertical version.
It's so hydrated and steered.
I still would probably show it, but
it's one of those things where what we have to think about is, okay, how is someone going to consume this ad on YouTube? Let me edit it and craft it in a way that's going to speak to them and meet them on that platform in the right mode and the right mindset and all of those things. So one of my favorite stories, this is super simple, but kind of it highlights something that Jacques mentioned. And it has a really key point on YouTube. So this was a brand, newer face brand, came to us several years ago. They were big on direct response TV. As big on that. Tried YouTube. YouTube never worked. So I started unpacking their direct response TV ads. And they were surprisingly really good. Like they were working well on TV. But I noticed that. I noticed that the beginning few seconds kind of sucked. And so I was watching it and I saw this point in the 30 seconds in the ad. I was like, that's it. That's when we need to break to the front. Made a couple other edits for YouTube. That was the main thing we did. And so I just want to show you this. So this is the principle where you want to start high or zoomed in, like start in with the good stuff. Don't be like a lead up, build in, slow leading into an ad. Like you got to start high. So check out this OB. I'm not going to put this whole ad discount long.
This was a bald spot. And now look at this. I have more hair, which is all due.
So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, do you suffer from hair loss? Do you have these issues? That was like the original lead. I was like, no, what's that? This is an attractive, well-spoken lead. She's like, this was a bald spot, right? And her hair is not bald. It looks great. It's thick. It's full. And then it goes into a kind of a before and after slider thing. That unlock. So it was like a 2.5 to 3 minute ad. Watch time was insane. Click through was insane. This one was all D2C. So they were like, hey, yeah, we sell on Amazon, but let's focus on D2C. So we were getting direct purchase conversions at their CPA target with that ad. I'm actually going to skip this one. This shows a principle that I really like. It's called splits for UGC, where we get a lot of vertical content. You just show the product and show some other features on that other side of the screen to take some of your vertical content that's winning on social and translate that to YouTube. Let me see if I can say that here. Nope. There we go. Okay, so this is the part of that created. We have a partner with teams like Ring Rock we love the creative feedback loop process. This is something that if you don't have, you're going to have you get with YouTube, where as we're running YouTube, the data is going to let us know what to do next. So you need a creative feedback loop. The good news is, like I said, you only need maybe 3 to 5 new creatives a month, kind of depending on your spend level on YouTube. You're spending a lot, don't need more than that. But to start, you don't. And so these are some things we look at. Ultimately, we usually break it down into these 3 elements. I know I gave a little bit larger creative formula, but typically if the ad is failing, it's failing in one of these 3 areas, right? If the view rate is subpar, if the view rate is below average on the rest of our ads, and depending on the screen that it's showing on, we got to rework the code, right? That's just it. If people aren't clicking or aren't buying, it may be that we just didn't answer all their questions, so the product demo isn't going to work. Maybe we're not clicking because there was no good call to action or no good offer at the end of the ad. So we really need to understand all of those things to be able to say, hey, this is what we need to test next with these ads. And this is where we've seen stuff like with Arctic as an example, when they did furniture with NASCAR and they had this really long ad. I was like, I don't know, guys, like, let's test it. Probably gonna do it great. It did really well with men and with women. This really indexes dudes as well. So thank you, ladies that are here. You're balancing the force in this room. We need your presence here. Any ladies here, NASCAR fans? So this NASCAR driver was kind of attracted to me. That's what I was a pretty good looking guy. I don't know what it was, but like women were watching this NASCAR ad as well. And so as we watched, but like, let's lean into this guy more. I don't know. I thought this unit sucked, but it didn't. And so the data is going to tell you what to do next. You've got to have this creative feedback loop. A lot of people just run ads and think, that doesn't work. I don't know. So let's move on. Okay. Number 2, we've got to craft our campaigns to work towards the strengths of YouTube. And so I'm going to kind of talk about what your different objective might be, and Rand will structure this a little bit differently. I still recommend, I know the trend with Meta is like wide open targeting, let the algorithm work. You are only into the YouTube algorithm as well, but we found that starting with custom segments, custom audience that we're giving YouTube, it's the best place to start. It avoids a cold start, it informs the algorithm a little bit. And so our favorite custom segment is based on users' search behavior. So this is one thing that Google has, that the platform has, where they've got unbelievable amounts of search data. You can package that up and say to YouTube, I want to create audience segments of people that are searching for these things online. Either they're searching for my competitors, which one little twist there is I like to build audiences of people that are saying competitor X versus competitor Y, right? Because then that shows they're in market, but they haven't made a decision yet, right? Or solution for whatever it is that I solve. So you start building these audiences based on someone's Google search behavior. That's a great place to start. DG's demand gen, it's like the new kind of YouTube conversion focus campaign. We definitely lean into those. But if you're doing something where you're a native or an Arctic, you're trying to grow sales from retail stores, then we go with view-based campaigns. Jock talked about low CPMs. We're sometimes seeing CPMs in like the $5 range. So with really good audiences, really good engagement, really good click-throughs, not great conversions because the campaigns are set up that way, but insanely low CPMs. You're maybe doubling or tripling the amount of views and the amount of impressions you get for the same money, and you can still be really laser targeted with your budgets. And then you got to measure according to the campaign, right? So a view-based campaign isn't going to have a lot of direct conversions because it's not aiming to do that. And so you got to measure it accordingly. So custom segments are really important. If we're doing retail sales lift, this is kind of how we do it. We're going to lean more into video reach campaigns and video view campaigns. That's going to take up the majority of our budget, but a little bit of conversion focused campaigns to get those people that just prefer to buy online, to kind of close them. And then we're also going to understand that, hey, probably TV is going to be our most effective mechanism here. CPMs are better on TV. The engagement rates are better on TV. Half of all YouTube views are on TV screens, as I mentioned a minute ago. So generally, a campaign like this, we want to try to influence 50% of the budget going to TV screens because it just works really, really well. Overall sales lift, it's going to look pretty similar to the retail sales lift. And then if we're looking at just D2C, then I'm flipping the percentages. I'm mostly going conversion-focused campaigns, but then I'm using that low-cost reach, low-cost engagement to really further my impressions, to further my reach, and just have compound or Demiko's conversion focused campaign. That tends to work really well. So let's talk about Arctic just really briefly, because there's some good lessons to unpack here. So this was a retail case study. Shock and I spoke at this event in LA a couple years ago. Arctic was there. They said, hey, can we use YouTube to grow sales in Walmart? We're now in Walmart's coast to coast. Can we use YouTube to grow there? I said, of course, even for native. So these are the primary objectives. Measure Walmart sales, search lift in-store visits. You track in-store visits, actually, and then post-purchase surveys. That's a key to a lot of people miss with YouTube. This is one of the coolest trails that we can unlock for your brain. You have to work with a Google rep directly, but it is free. Talk to me if you want one of these. But basically, this is all based on Google search behavioral data. But it measures where your category has high and low demand, broken down by TD, EMAs, or designated market areas. So wheel coolers, as an example. Where's their high demand based on search behavior? Where's their low demand? And then where does your brand have high demand and low demand? So then we look at these quadrants of yellows where we generally focus, but not always, where we say like, hey, people want our category big time in these areas, but we're under indexing. So now we've got to solve this awareness problem and this product positioning problem and branding problem in those areas, and we can say sales increase. And so, and then you could like measure this before a campaign, after a campaign. It's pretty interesting to get that data. Here's what we saw with Arctic though. We did the 8-week study, 8-week test run. We ended up getting all their visits after it, but 230% mobile search lift. So one of the other ways, and this is a principle from Procter & Gamble, one of the greatest signs that your advertising is working is that more people are searching for you by brand name. And so Google will actually do these studies. They'll do these for you. But we created 230% branded search lift from these campaigns, and then a big search lift across YouTube search as well. And so this is just looking at one of the regions in the country, but 25% measurable sales lift. And we did some test and control markets. They also did a streaming test and control market series. We crushed streaming TV. They showed zero lift on streaming TV. YouTube was one of their greatest overall lists out of any tested or done. Won a Google Agency Excellence Award for it, which is really cool. But this really then unlocked YouTube as a primary growth lever for Arctic. Okay, last thing, and then a little bit of type of Q&A. So you got to measure the true impact. Again, this is where a lot of people fall short or just don't see it with YouTube. They don't see the true impact, so let's talk about this. The real results may be 3.5 times better than what you're seeing. So you're looking in platform. You see a 0.3 ROAS. You think this sucks. I hate this. I hate YouTube. My client's got an ABF. I'm an agency. But probably your results are as much as 3.5. That's better than that. Let's talk about that. Anybody watching the Ferris's podcast? Love that guy. I did a follow-up interview after this one. It's got more about YouTube, but this is Olivia Corey with House Analytics. They did the biggest YouTube incrementality study that's ever been done. 74 brands, 190 individual incrementality tests. This is where we're doing geo holdouts. These are with brands like Ridge and AG1 and things like that. They're spending 30% of their overall budget they're spending on YouTube. So not just like dabbling and spending over $1,000 a month. They're spending real money on YouTube, and they're selling you multiple channels. But here's what they found is that, hey, the incrementality factor, if you're seeing a 1 ROAS in platform, the actual incremental ROAS was a 3.4 instead of that 1. If you're selling in multiple channels, you can add another point to that. So you're selling on Amazon, you're selling in retail stores, take that to a 4.5 almost. In platform underreporting by the tune of about 70%. And the other thing, and I can say this a little more clearly today than I will tomorrow when I'm sticking at Google, but why does Google suck at tracking YouTube? There's a few reasons actually that kind of look them up and look a little bit, but this was the incrementality factor range from 1 to 10. So some brands saw a 1 ROAS in platform for YouTube, and they were getting a 10 based on these incrementality bulldogs. Just because YouTube is very incremental, it's hard to measure, but it's very incremental. And those are your customers. 76% of the customer generated were net new to the brand, which is high incremental. So why is that? Nobody clicks to that. So what I think about that? Was the last time I clicked a YouTube ad? Probably have. Right? If I'm watching YouTube, I'm watching for a purpose. This is my favorite podcast. I'm consuming it. Or I'm watching a Mr. Beast ad with Mr. Beast video with my family, whatever. I'm not clicking the ad. 50% of views are on TV screens. So multiple platforms, multiple logins, multiple viewers. We've done this a number of times. It's one of the only platforms like this where you look at online ads. Well, sometimes, I know I'm a big fan, so I know it's kind of high in there, but we'll watch a Mr. Beast video with 6 people watching it, right? That's tracked as 1 viewer, tracked as, 1 impression or whatever, but it's really 6. So there's certain things that kind of stack up where it's like, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to measure YouTube and kind of hard to see the full impact. Storefront's best post-purchase survey. Highly recommend that you do these. They're not foolproof, but they do add another element of insight. So this was where they were not spending really any money on YouTube. They were asking people, how did you hear about us? How did you find out about us? Then they did a study where they were like, hey, but where do you go when this was a makeup brand? Where do you go when you're looking for makeup ideas? So for the next inspiration, where you go? And YouTube was the number 2 source. So like, wait a minute. What if we flipped our spend to be closer to this? Wherever people like to find their skincare tips, let's put more of the budget there. So they flipped it. They like tripled their YouTube spend. And then this was the next round of surveys they saw. YouTube now said the top source for the story I found now about product. I'll talk about that just take time. But really the lift trifecta, so this is what we recommend. So do the post-purchase surveys, then look at these 3 things. Brand lift. So are people more aware of my brand? Google will do some studies for you. Search lift, again, Google will do this for you. It's a user holdout study, scientific. It's going to show, did this ad cause more people to search for you or did it not? And then look for overall sales lift. And then happy to kind of break this down for you, do a YouTube readiness audit and kind of look at your specific situation. It's my contact info. I'd love to connect. But do we have time for Q&A? Mr. Okay, that's great. Let's do it.
Shout out, Brett. So as I mentioned a little bit before, I wish we almost had this right out the shop because I think this would have answered a bunch of different questions for everybody. So as you were going through, you got to it. I had your house analytics. I was wondering, because you were saying in platform measurements, you have to think about the metrics differently, things like that. How some of the people here get into them, what's your best recommendation? Is it just leaning on their Google reps to do the brand lift studies? And at what amount of spend do they have access to a person who will do a brand lift study for that? Because I know that there's different middle market, this, that, et cetera.
That's right. What's really cool now, so of those lift studies, I put a lot more weight into search lift and sales lift or inversion lift. Like those are better, I think, because you see the surveys that pop up on some YouTube ads where like, hey, have you seen that for this brand or would you consider about? So that feeds the brand lift data. It's survey based. I think it's a little bit, some errors that could pop up there. But the cool thing now is you can run all of those lift studies at one time. Generally speaking, Google wants you to spend about $1,000 a day over the course of about 2 weeks to 21 days, kind of somewhere in that range to get one of those studies. So it's not crazy, and you can actually run some of those studies concurrently. They don't charge you for the study; they just want you to be spending enough to give them good data. So what I recommend is, house analytics, they're like pros. They're the best in that space. They're expensive. So you'll probably need to start there. Look at running a search lift and a conversion lift study with Google. They're free. Then you can also just look at things like, hey, how I'm running a brand campaign, which we can attack why that's a waste, but we still kind of need to do it. How did those brand campaigns grow as I started running YouTube? How did my direct traffic increase when I started running YouTube? How did my Amazon sales increase when I started running YouTube? Actually, the one of the screenshots I skipped was we had a big brand. We were running a YouTube brand on Amazon. They had to pause YouTube for a little while because of some tracking issues. When they did, we were watching get full access to Amazon. Their Amazon branded search got cut in half. So branded search on Amazon cut in half. We lost YouTube. So one of those things was like, you got to look at all these things. Still always channels. Yeah.
And I think that's a key message right there is like check your revenue right while it's happening and things like that. But I'll say from my side, I still don't have a Facebook rep that cares about me at all, right? And I spent $80,000 yesterday, right? But I've had Google reps since I was spending about $3 million a year. It invited me in, giving me YouTube experience stuff, how to best make my organic content decisions. I've had people build me campaigns that might seem was overstressed. Ultimately, we go in and make sure it fills appropriately. We're taking out brand segmentation, everything else, but they'll do the framework to help us put in things. Google wants to win some of these dollars that you're spending in other places. And I think the halo effect has always been given to Facebook, But it sounds like in your experience, anecdotally and otherwise, there is now definitely a halo effect inside of Google. How can you rank some of the different placements inside of Google as priority, right? Demand gen that you just talked about is relatively new, right? You can also do masthead takeovers when you spend a certain amount of money. You can get into some other things where you can have Mr. B say, now a message from my friends, over our Raindrop agency, and then commercial plays. Like, how do you rank where people should start? Like, where is the best bang for their buck to begin, all the way to once you're a much bigger company, this is where you should go?
Well, it's a great question. One thing I'll also mention is we've also seen is when you, so yes, YouTube is incremental. When you start reaching certain levels of spend within YouTube, Meta usually gets better as well. So like you're creating this overall impression lift and new users, and so Meta gets better as well, which is kind of cool. So if I'm starting out on YouTube, I'm mostly leaning into demand gen campaigns that are conversion focused, and I'm leaning it to just YouTube properties. So you can, in your campaign settings, you can let YouTube go nuts and like you to reach video partners and things like that. I just want to be on YouTube. So I want to be on the YouTube app, a mobile, a desktop, a tablet, a TV. That's the place to start. We see more success across mobile, non-shorts mobile, and TV, and then desktop. So we see more results there. I would do less, so masthead takeovers, and I wouldn't run like bumper ads, like with 6-second ads. We've done that to some ads who we're trying to get low cost reach for a bigger brand. We'll do that. But if you're just getting started on YouTube, don't do bumper ads. They're just a waste, right? You're not going to get any convergence from that. And I would actually deprioritize shorts just a little bit for most brands. The exception to that is if you're killing with TikTok ads. Cool thing is you can pipe those directly over to YouTube Shorts. So depending on the brand, I think you're like, YouTube Shorts probably won't work very well. But for some of you, it may work great if TikTok is crushing. So if I would rank those, my buddy Sean Pring at The Ridge, he came on my podcast a number of years ago. He was mapping out like, this is how we find influencers on YouTube to just talk about our product in their app. So it's a Fortnite influencer, there's a camping influencer, 4x4 guy, whatever. And we just wanted to talk about Ridge in the vape and paying for that. So the cool thing is that's what YouTube affiliate is unlocking. So you do that without as much manual work as what's up there. So I'll put that right up there as well. We had Team Text deal there.
So people can understand YouTube affiliate a little bit more. You can tie into actual creators already on the network. When that piece of creative goes out on their channel, it natively can get access inside of the ads manager so that you can pipe that directly to your ads. So where instead of having to download something else from someone else, it already served you platform, you can just natively get right into it.
You can facilitate commissions being paid. So it's like they tag your product, they post a video, you see all the metrics, you can pay them easily, and then you turn that deal out.
Perfect.
Hey, two questions, right? Great job. It's like the fourth time I've seen it, every time like, oh, the YouTube, yeah, tomorrow. So question for you is, since there's an attribution issue with Spy, but is what are some of the things you use to make kill decisions on your creators?
Yeah. So this is such a good question. So there's anybody like the movie Moneyball? Of course, the book. I just listened to the book again. It's such a freaking good book. It's so good. So there's this one part in where this Bill James, who kind of created Sabermetrics, this new way of looking at baseball analytics. He inspired this guy who was looking at pitchers, and he's like, you know what? ERA, earned run average, kind of a sucky metric. Because after a ball is hit, there's like a lot of randomness, like so they could lead to runs and stuff. There's like the three things that a pitcher can control: strikeouts, walks, and home runs. That's all a pitcher can control. They can't control if the outfielder drops the ball or whatever. No, that but anyway. So we were like, hey, that applies to video ads as well. So there are really three metrics that only a video can influence, right? These are not the metrics you ultimately want, but they indicate, does this video ad work or not? One is view rate, the other one is click-through rate, and the other one is average watch time per recursion. All of those things, only the video controls this. So I'm going to look at them. So a couple things that I would look at first, and we've seen this a few times where we're like, hey, the view rate is below average for this account, but across all the accounts we look at, and we're trying to get direct conversions, the CTR is low, and our CPC right now is $6. We're paying $6 for someone to click on this ad. That is never going to matter, right? That's never going to work. I can't get $6 clicks to get this into work. So why is that? Is it the hook? Is it it's the product demo? Is it not targeting? Something like that. So I'm looking at view rate, I'm looking at click-through rate, and I'm looking at CPCs, all those kind of tied together to say this ad is not going to hit there. It does take a little bit of time though, especially because like cold start, YouTube has no data on you. You haven't been running this very long, it does take a little bit of time. You don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars or anything like that, but you need to give a little bit of room for a video to understand it. But I'm looking at those individual view-based, view and click-based metrics to say, okay, this ad sucks. Either I got my targeting wrong or ad soft base. Great question.
I have a question to work at. Is that okay? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm with Fospo. We're a full tunnel measurement provider, also work for YouTube. We see the basically most companies you work with are very invested in YouTube and Meta and TikTok. It is driving a lot more sales. They are push for us, Amazon, as well as Access. I wonder, are you see, if you did versions as a, how long different types of product brands have to invest in trust before they see the sales?
Yeah, it's a real good question. So people understanding on YouTube, but also even on some other platforms like TikTok and Meta, how long do they have to commit to that to see that sales lift on Amazon or other channels? I'll talk about a few things. One, that House Analytics study, as they ran that, I believe that was like a 1 month test. And they saw like a tail on that where even after they stopped running the ads, they continue to see a sales lift. But the lift had happened relatively quickly, you know? And so, I mean, I used to sell TV and radio. I mean, it was like, hey, you got to commit to 3 months, right? That's when you'll see the real impact. There's probably some truth to that. Like, things will start compounding and getting better over time. But you should start to see some activity pretty quickly. I think even in that first month, if you're not seeing a lift in views, direct conversions, clicks, that's meaningful engagements and few conversions, then there's probably something wrong there. But all that said, we still require like, hey, are you willing to give YouTube a 3 to 4 month test? Not to spend all your budget or not to go crazy, but you got to give it some time because we got to experiment and test a few things as well. So it's a great call out. I think you're able to see some results even in that first month, but probably the greatest results coming for you.
So, whereas what we find the league they do say is much more practice of breakers for people, but I think there's no still.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll search you by brand name. Then you're going to see a list at some point.
So, real quick before Leo goes, also Google Trends. If you guys aren't using Google Trends, look up your brand, look at it as a topic, look at it as a search term, track and see over time. 100 means you're currently at the most volume your brand has ever had, right? You can see how that is going. You should be tracking that. I look at it every day, multiple times a day. You can also compare against competitors in your industry. You can look at the industry as a whole. You can see where you stack up. So, like, that's free. Trends at Google.
Great way to see brand lift. Super inspiring.
And that's when you're investing in branding, right? If you see that continues to go up, your brand is resonating across people who are searching, even if they're not making their way to your website. People are interested, and then they may be shopping any of these other channels. Leo, last question, and everybody deeps, and
Hey, everybody give Leo a hand.
Leo, shout out Leo. Yeah. This wouldn't, this whole day wouldn't be working without Leo.
And a shout out to Leo's shirt. I love that shirt. It's awesome.
So, to quote Alex from a while ago, she said, like, for fashion brand to play syllabi. So see it like by adding me earlier today about, they had the distinction specifically about fashion versus location brands. So all of the stuff that I've seen for Europe and job really is the problem of the thing. It's right, feeling better in that in fashion and non-fashion. It's a little bit unique, and I know, contested TV or idol, I shouldn't know that web coordinator. But just to speak about that, particularly take for about things that are really see like buy it first. You have to explain how it is.
Yeah. So really interesting. I think YouTube can work for a wide variety of brands, especially because if you look at it like, hey, this is TV. So what kind of price can you advertise on TV? Almost anything. But if you were saying the stage around our growth, we need to see a direct return, like people clicking and buying from this ad. Almost always as a product solution ads, right? So we're running demand gen, conversion focused campaigns. We rarely see apparel work for that unless it's like, this is really unique apparel. So I'll give you an exception. Sweet Flex, Klein bars, yoga pants, really good looking yoga pants. I'm wearing them under my pump steams. I don't know where that came from, but yoga pants. But they've got like bands in them, so as you walk, you get a little bit of a workout in there. So it's like, wear these pants. That's the equivalent to a 30-minute gym workout every day, right? That's apparel, but also with a really unique angle. That's well on YouTube. I think if you're purely fashion, boutique type of thing, I would lean into more view-based stuff because it's really hard, I think, for the algorithm to say who is looking for this type of dress or this type of blouse or this type of, leopard shirt or whatever. I don't really know. Like, Meta seems to be way better at that for a conversion campaign. So if you're like a fashion brand and you're like direct conversions right now, I would lean way more into Meta. But I do think you got a unique message there. You can lean into YouTube more for view-based campaigns to kind of further everything and gets a low-cost reach. So great question.
I'm over here now. Lunch stopped, everybody. Appreciate it. Have it up to great.